Hi guys, so remember when I said it wasn't going to take me 2 months to make another video? Well, boom, 5 or 6 months or something like that. I don't know. It took me a long time to make this, so I'm sorry. There's been a lot of changes in my life. I got a job, so that's good. So something that, I don't know, it took me like a lot of videos where I was talking about how I was struggling trying to get a job, stuff like that. Well, I got a job, so it's in psychology, so it's really cool. I like it. I'll explain more about it in another video, but all of those worries are just gone now. So yeah, that's cool. And something else as well, I moved to a different house, so still a lot of unpacking to do, and also I went on a vacation of like 3 weeks. So in that period between making videos, a lot of stuff has happened. Basically, a lot of my life has been turned around. So something we'll talk about in other videos, but then you'll know, well, at least a bit what my life's about right now. But yeah, I got a job, so awesome. So that's done. Goal completed. It's done. The channel is over. It's done. So yeah, of course, it's not that simple. There's still a lot of things I am struggling with, or a lot of things I want to improve. And I think one of the things that stands out to me the most is actually something I've learned recently. Is that I've been talking about this in the beginning as well, where I said sometimes it feels like your life is on autopilot, like you're just going along with the flow. You're not really active in your life. It feels more like you're a passive bystander in your own life. It's just your life is happening to you instead of you actively taking part in the decisions that are made and everything you want to do in your life. So that was a feeling I had very strongly, especially during my college years as well. And of course, it's very easy to have that in your college years because it's just like, make these exams, make these tests, write this report, stuff like that. It's all decided for you. And if you're a student like me, then you do everything pretty much at the last possible minute. So a lot of that time in between is just sort of passive stuff, thinking, yeah, I should really be working on it, not really making a good planning, and then just being like, yeah, I should be working on it, but I don't really feel like working on it, so I'm not going to work on it. And then cramming everything in that final week. So there's sort of like a period of about 7 weeks that you're very passive and not really doing anything, and then 1 week where everything needs to happen, and of course it's very stressful. Funnily enough, I think I found something that can sort of remedy that feeling of being on autopilot, that can sort of work in making yourself a more active participant in your own life. Because I think what helps most against that feeling of being on autopilot is becoming more active in your own life. Instead of becoming that passive bystander, you become more active. So by taking action, basically. And the way I think that will work really well in taking actions is, of course, and I think this has been said like 1,000 times before, but I think the best way of taking action in your own life is by setting goals and then working towards those goals. So in essence, it should be very easy, right? But I think there's a lot of pitfalls that we fall into because everyone, at least most people, they have goals. They have something that they work towards, but they don't feel very active or in control in their own life. So what's going wrong? What goes wrong with those people? I think, out of my own experience, I think a lot of problems, a lot of things that go wrong are with the goal setting itself. In that most of the goals that we have are sort of these big overarching goals. They're very huge. They take a lot of time to complete. Sometimes there are parts of those goals that are out of our control, like we have to wait for maybe the housing market until we can find a nice place to live, stuff like that, that we don't really have any control over. And a big goal would be like, for example, getting a new job. That's like a massive goal. But that's something that a lot of people will take as their goal. They'll be saying, like, okay, I'm working on getting a job. That's sort of what I'm working on. And it's something that I did as well, where I was like, okay, well, my main focus right now is getting a job. Only as a goal, getting a job sucks because it's not really well defined. It's like getting a job. Okay, so as soon as I have a job, I'm done. So I can basically go to the supermarket and apply for a job and maybe work as a cashier there, and then technically my goal would be complete. So it's not a very good goal. And getting a job, what exactly are the actions that come with getting a job? And that's where I think a lot of, well, you can gain a lot is by mapping out those actions, like getting a job. What kind of actions does that entail? So it's like writing your CV, writing your resume, making sure that's okay, everything is on it, it's appealing, writing a motivational letter that you can sort of copy, that you only have to change a few things for every new application, stuff like that. Getting good clothes for the solicitations themselves, for the interviews, stuff like that. And then looking for jobs, so looking for places in your work field that you want to work in, where you can sign up for an interview, and then sending the letters to that. So there's a lot of actions that come with that. So far, very, very clear, very obvious, and I think a lot of what I did here is something that I already applied myself. Like I would, in getting a job, I would cut it down into smaller pieces, and I would start working on those pieces. So I did that already. So why do I still feel like an active participant? And that's mostly because I think it's about planning in those jobs throughout the week, planning in those small actions throughout the week. And that's where the real pitfall is for people like me who have a lot of trouble with planning or setting priorities, for example. That's where a lot of the danger lies. So planning in those things during the week, of course, the most obvious pitfall is planning way too much in a single week. So if you have work, and besides work you still have to do a lot of other things, the easiest thing to do is just plan your entire week completely full. Like get it completely full of tasks, like everything you have to do. So you've spent an entire day working, you get home, you're tired, you still have to cook, you still have to eat, and then you have to do all those other tasks that you set for yourself. It's not going to work. It's obviously going to fail pretty quickly, probably. So like by Monday or Tuesday, you're probably already running behind on your schedule, and that's just incredibly demotivating, and it's pretty much done by that time. So it's probably already done by Monday or Tuesday. You've already managed not to complete every task on the planning, so those have to come, those go on the planning for the next day, so you have to do even more the next day, and of course that's not going to work. So it becomes incredibly demotivating, and you end up not getting anything done at all. So instead of just doing small things out of the planning, most of the times, at least what happened with me, is if it got too overwhelming, I wouldn't get anything done at all. So not even the small, simple task, or like one task a day, I wouldn't get anything done at all. It would just be like sort of a brain freeze where I wouldn't know what to do. I would just be completely lost. And that happened quite a lot. So that's an obvious pitfall to be very aware of. Of course, the other side of that is planning in too little. Like it's easy to say like, okay, this week I'm going to send one letter. I'm going to send my resume to one company, and done. That's it for my week. I've done enough. Of course, that's not good either. So it's like striking a balance between that. Only one thing to keep in mind is that I feel like sort of motivation, and especially dedication, perseverance, I think that's something that you have to learn, that you have to get better at. And it's not something that you can just do this and then now suddenly I have perseverance and I can dedicate myself to all this time, to all these tasks that I have to do, suddenly I can do it like that. It doesn't work that way. So it feels sort of like a muscle that you have to train. You can't expect to lift like 40 kilograms right away. You have to work towards that. So as I said, it's like the balance. So definitely not too many tasks in the week, not too few tasks as well. I think it's something that you have to sort of expand upon slowly. So in the beginning, in the first weeks, don't take too many tasks, just a few so that you can get it done. You can get the rewards, you can get that feeling of, yeah, I can finally complete the planning that I've set for myself. I can complete the goals that I've set for myself. And then you can sort of ride the wave of that feeling, like I'm feeling good right now because I've completed stuff. So I can keep going with that, and I can keep that momentum going, and I can do more next time and keep expanding that until it's at like the perfect level for yourself. Because the other side of that, of course, is if you fail, like immediately, if you fail the first week, then you're going to feel really bad. You're like, oh shit, I didn't even get all of this done. And you're going to feel bad, which means you're going to get less done. And it just goes completely the opposite way. So be very careful of that. It's better to plan a bit too little than to plan too much, because with most tasks, there isn't really a strict deadline. Like with school and stuff, there are clear deadlines. But if you have a task like I need to get a job, it doesn't have a strict deadline. So it's better to do too little in the beginning and at least start getting that momentum so you can do more and more and more than planning way too much and sort of have failed right at the start. Now I think the key for me is the following. Is that in making a planning for the week, so you can set goals for the week. These are the things that I want to work on this week, just a lot of things that I wanted to get done for a long time, and I can get them done now. And then plan them in sort of during the days that are easiest for you. Like I have days now where I have to work for 9 hours, and then also have the travel time with that. Then I have to eat, then I have to go to sport. And that's pretty much my entire day. So I have like maybe 1 hour completely to myself. I'm not going to plan that in with another task. It's never going to work. So that day is just completely off limits. Nothing can be planned in that day. And I think everyone has days like that where on this day I'm not getting anything done. It's just way too full, or it's just it's not the day. And there are other days where you feel like, okay, I have a lot more room here. This is the day where I can get some stuff done. So that's the day that you plan those things in. So for me, my free day during the week is the Wednesday. So it feels like I can plan on a lot of things, like during the Wednesday morning, especially, where I feel like, for example, between 9 and 12, I can work on things that I want to be working on, things on my goals. And then after that, it's just done. So I can have free time as well, because otherwise I'll plan in my entire Wednesday, and my Wednesday will become even busier than my work day. I've had days where I did that as well, where I had to do more on my Wednesdays than on my free days and on my work days. So sort of what I've decided for myself right now is just Wednesday morning is just working on goals, things that I wanted to complete, and then Wednesday in the afternoon and the evening and stuff like that, it's completely free. It's off limits. So don't touch it, basically. So that's sort of what I have for myself. And then in the weekend also, like maybe a morning, work on stuff that I want to be working on. And then sort of like that, become a lot more active in your own life. It's something that happens with work itself as well. Like when you go to work, can you imagine how many times you go to your job with a certain goal in mind, where you think like, okay, today I'm going to work on this. Most of the times we don't do that. We just go to work. So basically throughout the week, you just go to work, like Monday through Friday. You just go to work, you do your work, you go home, and it's done. So it's no wonder really that you feel so passive in your own life, because you just let everything happen to you. Like you go to work, you see what work is there, you'll do the work that is given to you, and then you'll go home. So it's a very passive thing. Whereas the opposite, like if you go to work and you have a goal for yourself, like for me it's in psychology, so I could say like, okay, I'm going to work and today I really want to learn about like this theory. So I'm going to do the work that is set out for me, I'm going to do that, but I'm also going to work on this theory. So I'm going to read it, I'm going to learn it for myself so that I can use it later in like sessions. Or get more information about certain psychological disorders, stuff like that, things that I feel I don't have enough grasp on yet. So for me, like for myself, I feel like I need to learn more about autism to truly understand it and be able to sort of give psychoeducation about it. So that's something that I feel like I need to work on. I want to get more knowledge on. So that would be a goal for me during a work day. So I go to work and I say, okay, I'll spend at least half an hour just reading about autism, like finding books about autism, starting to read them, take notes about the things that are important to know, stuff like that. So getting an active role within your work field as well. And this can work for pretty much anything. But if you go to work with a set goal, then you have something to work towards instead of just like passively doing your work and going home. And I think that's also why it's so common right now that a lot of people feel passive, because you're very passive in your work itself. Like you go to work, you do your work, and then you go home. And then you're also very passive in your home, because most people, like if they have work, they don't have a lot of big goals besides that. So they're very passive. So mostly free time is just like watching Netflix, stuff like that. So yeah, having goals within your work and having goals within your free time, stuff that you want to work towards. And it can be very easy. Like one of the things that I want to do is I've always wanted to get lessons for the bass guitar. It's something that I've wanted to do for I think a few years now, but I've never really done it. So how I would go about it right now is just like, if I have another week and I have to plan it in, it feels to me like, okay, this is the week that I'm gonna start with the bass guitar lessons. So basically you break it down into a few sections first. So first you're like looking, okay, what kind of bass guitar lessons can I get within my, within the city that I live in, just looking at all of them, or at least a few of them, and seeing, okay, what are the costs, where are they in the city, which feels best for me, how many times do I want to practice, write all of that down, then pick one of them, and then basically call them or email them if I can have sort of a tryout lesson. So that would be like four tasks that I can do. And probably if I think about it now, that's something that I could get done like within one Wednesday morning, easily. So if I have 3 hours, I could get that done easily. So I could plan that in. I could say like, okay, next week I'm gonna do all those things, and then I'm gonna like call or email them, try to get a tryout lesson. So by the end of that week, something that I've been wanting to do for years, now because I've planned it in a certain day, I've written down what the tasks are exactly, I can get that done within one morning. And suddenly everything starts rolling, and I can start with the bass guitar lessons, and then I can start on other goals as well that I have. So it's, when you think about it, it feels quite easy, but it's something that I have to sort of start using for real now and see if it's really as easy as as it feels for me right now. So I'm gonna try that out for like a couple of months and see how that goes for me. See if I start to feel more active in my own life as well. And I think some of the more bigger overarching goals, at least for me, are, one is just to put more energy into this YouTube channel. Because, well, as I said, I think the last video was about 5 or 6 months prior. So yeah, put a lot more effort into that, make sure I upload videos more regularly. It's mostly for myself. I really, it helps me to talk about this, to learn about stuff, like how I want to work on everything. So it's really helpful for myself, and I think a lot of people, if they have similar situations like I have, which I think a lot of people do have, they can learn a lot from it as well. They can try out everything as well. So it's sort of the channel is sort of a psychology for myself, but it's also very helpful for other people if they have similar problems. That's sort of the stance that I want to take with it. So that's one of my bigger overarching goals. And then the trick for me now especially is just to start planning in the next weeks, like, okay, what do I want to work on with the YouTube channel for the next week, plan that in over a few days, not too much, but not too little as well, and start doing it like that. Because then every week I would make a little progress, and slowly the ball would start to get rolling, hopefully. Yeah, so that's basically it. That's, I think, I'm not sure, but it feels like it's sort of the cure to that feeling of being on autopilot throughout your life and taking a more active role in your own life. And it's something very simple that I want to try out for the coming months, and then I'll report back as soon as I get something, hopefully with better results. Hopefully there'll be more videos to come. So yeah, that was it for this video. Glad to be back making videos again. As always, if you made it all the way through the end, thank you so much for watching. And yeah, I will see you guys next time.